Hello children, welcome back to the second part of Karna. You remember we learnt about Karna, how powerful and strong he was. So let's do a little small recap of the part 1. So we saw who Karna was, little bit about his various names and where was he born, how was he born, who brought him up. So there was this arena with all the princes that came in. They were showing their talent, and suddenly they heard someone coming, like god-like creature coming from top with the thunder and light and sound. So that was who? That was none other than Karna. So Karna came down, and with very ease he showed whatever Arjuna did. So with that Duryodhana was very happy, but Kripa and Drona were not happy. So Arjuna said, I don't want anything else, I want one single battle with Arjuna. So then after that, Kunti came out and she said, oh my god, my sons are fighting. No one else knew that Karna was her first son, right? So her own blood sons were fighting. She did not like it. She fainted. She came back. So we saw all that. And then what did Duryodhana do? Yes, so Kripa said that he can't fight because he is not a prince. A prince cannot fight with someone who is unknown, an unknown adventurer. So after that, Dronacharya made him Karna the king of Anga and did all the rituals that were supposed to be done for him to become a king. Okay, so now Karna is ready to fight the battle. Let's see what happens then. So this is the part 2. At this sight, Bhima roared with laughter and said, oh, he is after all only the son of a charioteer? Take up the driving whip then as befits thy parentage. Thou art not worthy of death at the hands of Arjuna, nor should thou reign in Anga as a king. Really? A son of charioteer? You making the son of charioteer a king? Oh my god, come on, let's just take a whip and hit him. This is not happening. This is not a battle. What kind of battle is this? This is what Bhima said. Bhima was very, very strong. Okay, so he said that this doesn't make a difference. This battle is not counted. At this outrageous speech, Karna's lips trembled with anger or anguish, and he speechlessly looked up at the setting sun with a deep sigh. So Karna was very, very angry with this what Bhima said, okay, and he looked up at the setting sun. He was so angry at that point that what is a deep sigh? When you just do like that, that's a deep sigh. He looked up at the setting sun and gave a deep sigh. But Duryodhana broke in indignantly. What did Duryodhana do? He was very, very angry with that, with whatever Bhima has said. He couldn't tolerate that at all. It is unworthy of you, O Vrikodara, to speak thus. Valor is the hallmark of a Kshatriya, nor is there much sense in tracing greater heroes and mighty rivers to their sources. I could give you hundreds of instances of great men of humble birth, and I know awkward questions might be asked of your own origin. Now he felt very, very angry. He said, what are you saying? Can you just see him? He looks like he is born from a Kshatriya. Does he even look like he is born to a charioteer? How can you say like that? I can give you a lot of examples of great heroes who live a humble life, who live a simple life. I can give so many. My experience is so much that I can tell you so many people who are kings and princes and big live a very simple life. Look at this warrior, his godlike form and bearing, his armor and earrings and his skill with weapons. Can you just look at him? Look at Karna. Look at how he looks. Look at his skill. Who can have the blood that inside him is of a Kshatriya? It is not of a charioteer. The way he is born, look at him. Now what are his qualities? Look at this warrior. Okay, what are the qualities that he showed? He showed his godlike form. Will any normal person have a godlike form? No. And bearing, how he looks. His armor and earrings. He was born with armor and earrings. Okay. And his skill, the way he is talented, how easily he just defeated Arjuna. Surely there is some mystery about him. There is some mystery about him. For how could a tiger be born of an antelope? Right? An antelope is a deer-like creature with horns. You've seen that, right? Can an antelope give birth to a tiger? So he is referring to Adiratha. Can Adiratha give birth to to Karna? Adiratha he is saying as an antelope. Can an antelope give birth to tiger, to Karna? Can Adiratha give birth to Karna? Yes. Unworthy of being king of Anga, this thou say, I verily hold him worthy to rule the world. You are saying that he is not capable to become the king of Anga? I can proudly say that he can rule the whole world, not only the kingdom of Anga. This is what Duryodhana said to Bhima. He felt very taken aback. In generous wrath, Duryodhana took Karna in his chariot and drove away. He was very angry. He was not very upset about everything. He took Karna in his chariot and he just left. The sun set. The crowd dispersed in tumult, in sadness, in negative. Okay, the crowd was very unhappy about whatever happened. There were groups loud in talk under the light of the lamps. Now everyone at that time was talking about whatever happened. It was a big thing, isn't it? So under the lamps everyone was talking. That means it was night time. Some glorifying Arjuna, others Karna, and others again Duryodhana according to their preference. So everyone has their own preference. Some will like Arjun, some will like Karna, some were talking about his greatness, Arjun's greatness, some were talking about Karna's greatness, and some were talking about what Duryodhana did and why he did so. So everyone according to their preference were talking about their heroes. Indra foresaw that a supreme contest was inevitable between his son Arjun and Karna, and he put on the garb of a Brahman and came to Karna. Now Indra did not want this to happen between his two sons. So what did he do? He came like a Brahman, okay, to whom? To Karna, who was reputed for his charity. Now Karna was very popular for giving away everything. Even if he had one last meal, he would just give. He was so good with generosity. He was known, he was popular, and begged of him his earrings and armor. Now Karna was born with earrings and armor, and what did Indra do? He changed his roop as Brahman, and he came to Karna and told him, I want your earrings and armor. What do you think will happen? Will he give? Will Karna give away the prized possession that he had? The sun god had already warned Karna in his dream that Indra would try to deceive him in this manner. So already sun god had told him that Indra one day will come and tell you like this. You know, he'll come and tell you, give me everything. In his dream he had told him already. Still, Karna could not bring himself to refuse any gift that was asked. Now Karna was known for not saying no. He always said yes for everything, whatever he did. Hence, he cut off the earrings and armor with which he was born and gave them to the Brahman. He did not even think twice. He just cut off his earring and armor and happily gave off to Indra, who was dressed as Brahman. Indra, the king of gods, was filled with surprise and joy. He was very excited and very happy. He said, oh my God, that was the last thing that you had and you gave that to me. You were born with that and you gave that to me. After accepting the gift, he praised Karna as having done what no one else would do and shamed into generosity. He was very shamed. He was thinking, how can I even ask? But he was also very excited with joy and very proud at that time that he did something like that. But Karna asked for any boon he wanted. So what did he do? He asked him anything. Please ask whatever you want, any boon you want, ask, I will give it to you. Karna replied. Now let's see what boon Karna asked for. I desire to get your weapon. Now every god has a very prized weapon they belong to. They would have earned by lot of practice. They would have earned big weapons. So he asked for his weapon, the Shakti. Okay, which has the power to kill enemies. Anyone. Shakti is the most powerful weapon. It can kill anyone. Indra granted the boon, but with a fateful proviso. What is a proviso? A condition. He said, okay, you can take this weapon, no problem, but there is one condition. Condition means there is something attached to it. Okay, let's see what's attached to that. He said, you can use this weapon against but one enemy, and it will kill him, whoever he may be. This weapon will kill whoever that man is. But this killing done, this weapon will no longer be available to you, but will return to me. After you've done that, this weapon can be used only once. After that happens, it will come back to me. With these words, Indra disappeared. He gave him the weapon Shakti and disappeared. Karna went to Parshurama and became his disciple by representing to him that he was a Brahman. He learned from Parshurama the mantra for using the master weapon known as Brahmastra. Now, they all learned lot of weapons. Now, to make a weapon work, you had to chant something. You have to chant a mantra for this particular weapon to work. So, what did Karna do? He also dressed like a Brahman and went to Parshurama and learnt this, how to make this weapon work. Now, Parshurama did not teach the prince and higher people. He taught only this kind of people. So, he had to convert himself as a Brahman and go there. One day, Parshurama was reclining with his head on Karna's lap when a stinging worm burrowed into Karna's thigh. What happened one day? Karna was sitting and Parshurama was lying down on him and resting. Okay, a bee came. A bee stung Karna very, very badly, and not like stung and went back. She actually went into, burrowed. Burrowed means dug into. The bee dug into Karna's thigh and it was bleeding. It was very, very bad. Blood began to flow and the pain was terrible, but Karna bore it without tremor, without any shaking. Karna did not shake. Even if the bee comes and stings like this and goes to us, how we cry, how we shake, it's so painful, isn't it? But this bee has gone inside. How painful it would have been. But did Karna move? No. He thought if he'll move, he will disturb his guru. So he did not shake at all. So he would disturb his master's sleep, right? So he did not move. Parshurama awoke and saw the blood which had poured from the wound. Parshurama, when he woke up, he saw so much blood was there from his wound. He said, "Dear pupil, you are not a Brahman. A Kshatriya alone can remain unmoved under all bodily torments. Tell me the truth." Now with that, Parshurama, what did he say? He said that, no, you are not a Brahmana. Only a Kshatriya can bear all these, right? Only Kshatriya is so strong and the willpower is so strong that he can only go through all these kind of tremors. You are not a simple man. You are not a simple noble man. You are someone very big. You are a Kshatriya, I am sure. Please tell me the truth. So Karna confessed that he had told a lie in presenting himself as a Brahman and that he was in fact the son of a charioteer. He said, yes, I had told you the lie, and he told himself as a Brahman, but he was the son of a charioteer. Parshurama in his anger pronounced this curse on him. Now Parshurama got very angry and again he cursed him. That means he gave him a bad thing, something which is not nice. He told him, since you deceived your guru, since you lied to your guru and you made him cheat, the Brahma Sutra you have learned shall fail you at the fated moment. That means when you are at the war and just when you are saying this mantra or something, it will make you lose. He was very angry at that time. You will be unable to recall the invocatory mantra when your hour comes. Invocatory matlab the proper mantra, okay? You will not be able to remember that mantra just when you need. Just when you are at the war and you need this mantra very badly, you will not be able to recall the mantra. This was the curse Parshurama gave Karna for cheating on him. Now Karna and the Grandshire. We saw how Karna learnt about the mantra and all that. Now we will see Karna and the Grandshire. Grandshire is the grandfather. Okay. Now who was the grandfather of Karna? Let's see. When he learned that Bhishma lay wounded and dying, Bhishma was the grandfather of Karna. When he saw that he was lying down, Karna hurried to the place and fell at his feet and he said, "Eldest of the race, Radha's son, who through no fault of his incurred your great displeasure, humbly prostrates himself before you." So what Karna said? I am eldest of the race, I am Radha's son, who through no fault of his incurred your great displeasure, that I am making you feel bad about something, I am now at your feet. When after humble salutation Karna stood up, the Grandshire greatly moved, tenderly placed his hand on Karna's head and blessed him. After Karna said that, Bhishma felt really nice and he put his head on the Karna's head and he blessed him. You are not Radha's son, young man. This is when they all tell the truth. He said in loving tones, "You are Kunti Devi's own first son." Narad, who knows all the secrets of the world, himself revealed this to me. Now Narad used to tell everyone everyone's secret. He used to be roaming around the entire world, talking to all the gods and telling all the secrets to everyone. You know, always he used to say Narayan, Narayan, and he used to go around every god and tell everyone's secret to everyone. So he's come and told Bhishma that this is what has happened. Now Karna is not the son of Charioteer, he is the son of who? Kunti herself. So he already knew about it. So he says, you are not a normal man. You are not Radha's son. You are Kunti's son. Who told him? Narad told him. Son of Surya, truly I entertained no dislike for you, but I was grieved to see your increasing hatred of the Pandavas, although they gave you no cause for it. I was quiet till now, but then I'm seeing that you are hating your own brothers. I was still quiet. I knew everything. But now that I see that you're hating your own brothers, and even the Pandavas are not treating nice to you, so obviously you have a reason to hate them. I know and admire your valor and your open-handedness, and I know also that you belong to the class of Falguna and Krishna in prowess. I know you are very powerful. You belong to the class of Falguna and Krishna. It is proper that you befriend the Pandavas. Now join them, be their friend. Now join the Pandavas. Therein lies the right path for you who is their brother. With the closing of my part in this war, may the chapter of your enmity also close. This is my wish, Karna. So he said, see, I'm dying now. I'm almost dying. Now my chapter is closed. I want you to be friends with Pandava and start that. Join them as a team and move on. May the chapter of your enmity also close. As my chapter of life is closing, may your chapter of enmity also close with the Pandavas. Bhishma said that. Karna listened respectfully and replied, Grandsire, that means grandfather, I know I am Kunti's son and not Charioteer born, but I have eaten Duryodhana's salt and must be true to him, to be true to my own lineage. Now I know I am Kunti's son, but who has taken care of him from birth? Duryodhana. That means, what do you say? When you are eating your food of your parents, your mother is making food and she's brought you up, right? Salt is the main ingredient. So that means you've eaten her salt. It is said like that when the parents take care of you. It is impossible for me to go over to the Pandavas now. Now I am Duryodhana's son. I am supposed to take care of only him. He has taken care of me throughout, right? You must permit me to repay with my life, if it be so, the debt I owe to Duryodhana for his love and trust. So from beginning he has taken care of me, he has taught me everything. I have to be loyal to him. I have eaten his salt. So please give me permission in this life of mine to be loyal to Duryodhana. I have erred greatly in word and deed. You must forgive me for it all and give me your blessings. That means I am really, I owe him a lot. He's taught me so much in his words and deeds, right? In his actions and words, he has taught me a lot. You please give me your blessings and let me repay Duryodhana. The great Acharya, who knew all the laws of right conduct, reflected for a while on what Karna said and replied, do then as you wish, for that is the right way. So he was very, very high post, right? Acharya, the great Acharya Bhishma. He knew all the laws of what was right and what was wrong, obviously. So he said, okay, he stopped for some time. He just recollected whatever he said and he said, okay, if you think that's the right path for you, you can go ahead. My blessings are with you. Bhishma gave him his blessings. You are like the good earth to the seeds, like rain clouds to the living beings, ever dependable, firm in your loyalty, serve Duryodhana and save him. He gave such a beautiful compliment to Karna. What did he say? He told him, you are like good earth to seeds. What do seeds need? Seeds need good earth to grow up, right? And what else did he say? He said, you are like the rain clouds. You are like rain clouds to living beings. Can we survive without rain? No, we can't. It's very important for us. Rain gives us water. Very, very important. So he is saying that you are that important element. You know how to gain respect. Ever dependable. Anyone like Duryodhana, he would have easily told him, yeah, I don't care about Duryodhana. I'm going and joining Pandavas. But he didn't do it. He was loyal. So he is a good child. Firm in your loyalty. Very, very loyal. Okay, he said, go and serve Duryodhana and go and save him. He gave him all his blessings. Now Karna, having received the benediction, that means the blessing, now he is blessed by Bhishma, of the Grandshire, mounted his chariot and rode to the battle eld. Now with all the blessings, he got into his chariot and he started riding. When the valorous Karna entered the field on his war chariot, Duryodhana's joy knew no bounds. Now he is seeing his Karna coming onto his chariot, all prepared for the battle. Duryodhana was very, very happy. His sorrow at having lost Bhishma was in some degree alleviated. Now obviously Duryodhana was very, very sad with losing Bhishma. He's just lost a friend. So he was very, very sad. But with this, with Karna coming like this, that sorrow came down a little. That means alleviated. That means made less severe. Now if you are very, very sad about something and a friend comes and tells you that come on, we are going to go to this party. So won't you feel happy? The sadness will go a little less, isn't it? So that's what just happened. His sadness to some degree alleviated. So now we've seen about the Grandshire, what happened. He's gone to the battle. Now we will see death of Karna. The princes of the Kaurav army installed Karna as generalissimo, that means a general leading combined armies. Karna stood up in his gorgeous war chariot driven by Salya. Who was driving the chariot? Salya. The dauntless confidence of his bearing and his great renown as a warrior heartened the Kauravas. Now Kauravas saw and got a little taken aback. They were like, oh my God, what a strong warrior. Then followed a great battle. After that followed a great battle. The son of Surya sent a dazzling arrow which spat ray and made for Arjun like a serpent with its flaming double tongue out. Now this was the kind of battles that happened. You know, it's all imagination. Everything is imagination. So even the weapons were all different types. So this particular weapon was a double tongue out snake. You know, this weapon that came from the son of Surya was a double-tongued weapon that came. Then Krishna, Arjun's charioteer, at the nick of time pressed the vehicle down 5 fingers deep into the mud. To escape that weapon, what did Krishna do? He went down. He pressed the chariot with his fingers 5 feet down. The entire chariot went down, so that the serpent shaft just missed Partha's head but struck off his helmet. It just missed his head but came off to his helmet. Arjun was red with shame and anger, and he fixed a dart on his bow to make an end of Karna. He put the arrow to make an end. Now he was very, very angry. And Karna's fated hour had come. What is fated hour? Bad, destiny, karma. You know, that finally that hour has come. And as had been foretold, the left wheel of his chariot suddenly sank in the blood mire. He jumped down on the ground to lift the wheel up from the mud. So he jumped down to lift the wheel up so they can start the chariot. But did that happen? Wait a minute, he cried. My chariot has sunk in the ground. Great warrior as you are, and knowing dharma as you do, you would certainly not take unfair advantage of this accident. I shall presently set my car right and give you all the battle you want. So what did he say? I don't have my vehicle right now and you can't take an advantage of that. My chariot is inside the mud, and if you do it right now, you know all the laws of the battle. You can't do the battle when in a situation like this, when I don't have my vehicle. Arjun hesitated. Karna was now somewhat perturbed on account of the mishap. That means it's a misfortune. Karna had lost it. He had become really, he couldn't think straight. He remembered the curse that had been pronounced on him and again appealed to Arjun's sense of honor. He remembered the curse that Parshurama had given him, that at the end of the time when you are in a war, you will not be able to recall your mantras. So he told Arjun, wait, 1 minute, wait, but he could not. Krishna intervened. What did Krishna say? Ha, Karna, he exclaimed, it is well that you too remember that there are things like fair play. Now that you are in difficulty, you remember them indeed. But when you and Duryodhan and Dushasana and Shakuni dragged Draupadi to the hall of assembly and insulted her, how was it you forgot them utterly? He is saying that you are talking about laws now. What laws only work for everyone else and not you? Don't you remember what all wrong you've done? So Krishna told him what all he had done. So these were few of the incidences, like when you and Duryodhan and Dushasana and Shakuni, they had dragged Draupadi to the hall of assembly and they had insulted her. That was not right, right? So Karna can do wrong, but others can't do wrong. How was it you forgot them utterly? You helped Invigile. Who is Invigile? To persuade somebody to do something in the means of false praise, to have false good things, right? Praises, you do something wrong. So he had told Dharmaputra, who was fond of play but was unskilled at it, to gamble, and you cheated him. So you have cheated, you have gambled, you have disregarded women. Where had your play hidden itself then? Was it fair play to refuse to give Yudhishthir his kingdom, when according to the pledge the 12 years of forest life and the 13th year in incognito, that means holding the true identity. So he is telling all these to Karna, whatever faults he had done, okay, were duly completed. After he had completed all this also, 12 years in forest life and 1 year as a disguise, still he was not given his kingdom. Who was not given the kingdom? Yudhishthir. What had happened to the dharma you appeal for now? You conspired with the wicked men who sought to poison and kill Bhima. You acquiesced. What is acquiesced? Accepted without protest, without objecting, you accepted in the plot to burn the Pandavas alive when sleeping in the palace of wax into which they had been lured. What had happened to Dharma all the time? What did Dharma tell you when violent hands were laid on Draupadi and you were looking and enjoying the sight? Did you not then mock at her, saying, your husband has left you unprotected, go and marry another husband? The tongue that was not ashamed to utter these words now talk of chivalry. Chivalry is qualities expected from big soldiers. Chivalry, right? Soldiers have certain kind of qualities. Chivalry indeed. When a mob of you surrounded the young Abhimanyu and shamelessly slew him, was that chivalry? Was that right? Wicked man, do not talk now of chivalry and fair play, for you have never honored them. Now all these incidences are from Mahabharata. All these, so Karna was a bad boy also, right? So he has, so Krishna says, don't tell me what all about your chivalry. This is not accepted. Were you not fair play in all this? If you see the Mahabharata episodes, you'll know about every episode that happened. So these are some bad sides of Karna also, which Krishna reminded him. When Karna said that you have to play a fair war. So when Krishna was denouncing him in this manner in order to urge Arjun to promote action, Karna bent his neck in shame and uttered not a word. Now with all this, Karna felt ashamed and he bent his head down. He silently ascended the chariot, leaving the wheel still stuck in the mud, and took his bow and sent on an arrow at Arjun with unerring aim and such power that it stunned him for a moment. At that point, he just left the chariot. Karna stood up and he shot an arrow towards Arjun, which Arjun was very shocked at. Karna utilized the respite won to jump down again and hurriedly tried to lift the chariot wheel up. But the curse was too strong for him and fortunate, and deserted the great warrior. He again tried to come down, lifted the wheel, but he still could not because the curse was very strong. The wheel would not budge, though he strove with all his great strength. Then he tried to recall the mantras of mighty astras which he had learned from Parshurama, but his memory failed in the hour of his need, even as Parshurama had foretold. Right, Parshurama had told that he will not remember the mantras. Waste no more time, Arjun, cried Mahadev. Send your shaft and slay your wicked enemy. Arjun's mind was wavering. His hand hesitated to do what was not chivalrous. But when Krishna said this, the poet says, Arjun accepted this command of the Lord and sent an arrow which cut and severed the head of the Radhe. Finally, Arjun sent an arrow and it cut the head of Radhe. The poet had not the heart to impute this act to Arjun, who was the embodiment of nobility. It was the Lord Krishna that incited Arjun to kill Karna when he was vainly trying to raise his chariot out of the mud in which it had stuck. So Arjun actually was not trying to kill him. Who excited him? Who actually told him to do it? Krishna. When he was trying to remove Karna, that this thing, he told him to kill Karna. According to the code of honor and laws of war prevailing then, it was wholly wrong. It was absolutely wrong according to the laws of battle. Who could bear the responsibility for breaches of dharna except the Lord himself? Now, the author here says, if Lord himself will not bear the laws, who will do? Right? If God doesn't follow the laws, who else will do? And who will take the responsibility of that later? So this is the end of Karna. How he died, it was actually all his bad things that took him to his death. He was a very, very generous man, but according to Krishna, he also had performed a lot of bad things. So that's why he told Arjun to just shoot an arrow at him and kill him. So let's solve some question answers. This is the question 10. We've already solved the previous questions in the part 1 of the video. You can refer from there. Now we move on. How does Bhima ridicule Karna? So on seeing the charioteer called Karna his son, Bhima roared with laughter and he said, "Oh, he is after all only the son of a charioteer. Take up the driving whip then as befits thy parentage. Thou art not worthy of death at the hands of Arjuna, nor should thou reign in Anga as a king." So what did he say? You are a charioteer's son. I mean, Arjun, you can't even die from Arjun's hand. You don't belong there, and you don't even belong as a king of Anga. This is how he ridiculed Karna. Question 11. How does Duryodhan defend Karna against Bhima's accusations? So Duryodhan admonishes Bhima for speaking so contemptuously about Karna. He doesn't like how he spoke about Karna. He says that great heroes and mighty rivers should not be traced to their sources. What did he say? That the great heroes, if it's a great hero, you shouldn't even bother where he came from. Like a strong river, do you go and see where it originated from? Even a small waterfall, when it comes in front, can become a strong river. And points out that there might be awkward questions about Bhima's origin also. Like Bhima's origin also will have questions. Do you know everything? Do you know everything correctly? He points to Karna's godlike form and bearing, his armor and earrings, and his skill with weapons, and says that he has to be of noble birth and is definitely worthy to rule the whole world, not only the kingdom of Anga. Question 12. How and why did Indra approach Karna? Now children, these question answers are on page number 140 only, as we all know. Indra foresaw that a supreme contest was inevitable between his son Arjun and Karna, and he put on the garb of a Brahman, that means clothes, and came to Karna, who was reputed for his charity, and begged of him of his earrings and armor. Question 13, the A part. Why couldn't Karna refuse the gift asked of him? Karna could not bring himself to refuse any gift that was asked for him ever. The B part. What does this tell us about Karna's characters? What does it tell us how Karna is? That he is very kind, dignified person who will not deny anyone anything. Why does Indra offer a boon to Karna? What is the boon? Indra was filled with surprise and joy when Karna cut off his earrings and armor with which he was born and gave them to him. In return, he told Karna to ask for a boon, and Karna desired to have Indra's weapon, the Shakti, and Indra granted the boon. So Indra granted the boon with one condition, right? What was the condition? Indra said that Karna could use the Shakti weapon only against one enemy, and it would kill him, whosoever it might be. But after this killing was over, the weapon would no longer be available to him, and instead it will go back to Indra. Question 16. How did Parshurama realize that Karna was not a Brahman? So when Parshurama was reclining on, you remember that incident, right? I have told you that incident. So that you can convert it into a story and write, no problem. But little words please use from here. When Parshurama was reclining, lying down, on the tree, taking support of the tree and lying down. That's called reclining. On Karna's lap, a stinging worm burrowed into Karna's thigh. Blood began to flow and the pain was very, very bad and terrible. But Karna bore it without tremor for fear that the master's sleep can be disturbed. When Parshurama awoke and saw the blood flowing from the wound, he said, "Dear pupil, dear my child, dear my student, you are not a Brahman. A Kshatriya alone can remain unmoved under all bodily torments." Torments means tortures. Question 17. What was Parshurama's curse? So Parshurama cursed Karna that as he had deceived his guru, the Brahmastra that he had learnt from the guru shall fail him at the fated moment. Karna would be unable to recall the invocatory mantra when his hour comes. So whatever he had learnt from Parshurama became a fail. What did Bhishma ask Karna to do? Bhishma asked Karna to befriend the Pandavas since that was the right path for Karna, who were their brothers. What did Karna say about his loyalty to Duryodhana? Karna says that he has eaten Duryodhana's salt and so he must be true to him, to be true to his own lineage. He says that Bhishma should permit Karna to repay with his life the debt he owes to Duryodhana for his love and trust. So Duryodhana has taken care of him, given him all the education, taught him all the skills, so he has to be loyal to Duryodhana only. How does Lord Krishna save Arjun from Karna's arrow? Lord Krishna, who was Arjun's charioteer, at the nick of time pressed the vehicle down 5 fingers deep into the mud so that the serpent shaft just missed Arjun's head but struck off his helmet. What mishap happened to Karna's chariot? The left wheel of Karna's chariot suddenly sank in the blood mire and would not allow the chariot to move. Question 22. When Karna appeals to Arjun's sense of dharma, Lord Krishna recounts many acts of Karna and the Kauravas which violated fair play and chivalry. Pick out any 3 such acts. So we discussed a lot of acts, right, which say that he was not a very chivalry hero. Who? Karna. So who said that? Krishna. So pick out any 3 acts. So the first act was Karna, along with Duryodhana, Dushasana and Shakuni, had dragged Draupadi in front of the whole assembly and had insulted her. Second was Karna had conspired with the wicked men who had sought to poison and kill Bhima. Karna had agreed to the plot to burn the Pandavas alive when sleeping in the palace of wax to which they had been lured. This is the third part. Okay. Let's move on to the 23rd question, the A part. What was Karna's response to Lord Krishna's denouncement? When Krishna was denouncing him, Karna bent his head in shame and uttered not a word. He was very, very ashamed with whatever he had done. Okay. What does this tell you about Karna? It tells us that Karna was not truly wicked. He was not all that bad too, but was forced by his gratitude and loyalty to Duryodhana to assist him in all the wicked deeds. So Duryodhana used to take him everywhere, right? So whatever Duryodhana used to tell, Karna used to do. So for that he was not that bad, that wicked, but whatever his teacher or guru used to tell him, he had to follow that. 24th question. Why was Arjun's mind wavering when Lord Krishna asked him to slay Karna? Why was Arjun thinking twice to kill Karna? Lord Krishna urged Arjuna to kill Karna when he was vainly trying to raise his chariot out of the mud in which it had got stuck. According to the code of honor and laws of war prevailing then, it was wholly wrong to attack such a warrior whose cart had got down, who had no weapons. So there are laws, right, for a battle. Hence Arjun's mind was wayward. Wayward means confused. He was not thinking straight. He was thinking, should I do it or not do it? Let's move on to the question 25. Was killing Karna when he was not ready for the fight wrong? What do you think, children? Is it right or wrong, the way this all thing happened? Should Arjun have killed Karna at that time when he was not ready, not prepared? Was it wrong? Let's see the answer. According to the code of honor and laws of war prevailing that time, it was completely and wholly wrong to kill Karna when he was not ready for the fight. But it was Lord Krishna who revealed the absence of fair play in Karna's behavior and how he had breached the dharma and urged Arjuna to shoot. Now Karna did not do it because he wanted to. He did all that because Duryodhana, his guru, wanted him to. So actually speaking, Karna was not that wrong. Alright. Arjun had not done this on his own, hence it was not wrong. Now Arjun did not want to do it. His mind was wavered when he was thinking whether to shoot the arrow or not. So we can also say that it was not completely wrong. Now everyone has different opinions of whatever happens, right? So in Mahabharata, there are lots of episodes like this. So you can always think whether it was done correctly or not. Question 26. How does the poet justify this wrong? How is this wrong? What does poet say? The poet does not have the heart to impute this act of Arjuna, who was the embodiment of nobility. Arjuna was known as a very noble warrior. So this done by Arjuna was not fair. It was Lord Krishna who had incited Arjuna to kill Karna when he was not ready for the fight. It was who? Lord Krishna, who was the charioteer of Arjuna, who told him to do it. Except for the Lord himself, no one could bear the responsibility for breaches of dharma. So it was Lord Krishna who should have taken this responsibility of wrongdoing at that time, no one else. Okay, so with this we finish our lovely chapter Karna. I know it was long, but I hope I made you understand in different parts about the chapter, about all the characters of the chapter, and now you can pick up any character that you want as pre-reading activity and tell me which is your favorite character. So here we finish Karna, written by C. Rajagopalachari. I'll meet you soon with another chapter. Signing out, Kashish, bye-bye.